Okay, now we're getting into a classic coaching model where there's a decision that needs to be made. And again, in life, there's not oftentimes this black and white. There's oftentimes a lot of gray area where there's in-between stuff. But for the sake of this, let's just go into it because it can be helpful. Decision making, yes or no. Is this the thing that you should do or not? All we do is we lay out the yes, what is the positive side of it? What's the downside if things don't work out the way we want? And then if we were to say no, what's the downside of that? And then what is the positive side of that? And we just list it out. And this can be a very practical strategy. The only thing about this is, again, this is more of a logic-oriented thing. So we need to tune in as we're making these decisions and not base everything on logic. Our intuition, that discernment that we're developing, that inner voice that tells us why it matters more. But when we write it out, again, we're getting more clarity. So let's say the decision is, do I take a particular class? What would be the downside? Downside of taking the class is maybe it's a little bit of money. Maybe it's taking some time out of your day. Maybe it takes time and money out of your day. And so if there were another thing that you wanted to try too, you have to choose between the two, right? So that could be the downside. You have to make one decision versus another. So if you make the wrong one, it doesn't really make a big deal in the end. We'll talk about the law of efficiency in a second, but it can be a temporary letdown. It might also, but that's usually going to be it. Now, the positive, what if you have a whole new way of doing something because of the class? You might also make friends. You might have clarified for yourself too. For me, honestly, sometimes I do something just so I get rid of the mental bandwidth of continuing to have that decision weigh over me, especially if it's somebody who's like, I really want you to try this healing or whatever. If I'm getting the sense that it's not for me, but it's not for me, so it's just kind of like, oh, it's neutral. It would enhance my awareness of what's out there and things. I may eventually choose it just to have it fully out of my mind. Now, there might come a point in time where I'm just done with it. Like there's plenty of things that we've all outgrown where we say for a while we were very curious about whatever the next Netflix show was or a certain flavor of ice cream every time a new one came out. Or I mean, we can even think about McDonald's back in the day. We were probably very excited when a new toy came out for the Happy Meal and we needed to get all of them or however many. I remember Beanie Babies was a craze and it was so exciting to get them. And maybe you didn't even want the specific thing, but you wanted to have the set so you would still get it. And then there comes a time where you're just done with it. You don't need it anymore. And then you can just say, no, I'm going to be good. I'm going to be good saying no. So again, what are the pros and cons of saying yes? And then similarly, what are the pros and cons of saying no? So pros of saying no to something is you have that time, you have that money, you have whatever back that you can do something else with. So you have rearranged your time. Another pro might be it's really that you're probably not wasting time or money, but there might be other pros. You might also have an opportunity to do something else that is even better suited for you. So that can be a pro. Now, what can be the cons? The cons can be that you might miss out on something that could have been really awesome, right? So it's just useful to recognize these things. And for me also, I recognize I have a strong sort of former, but it's still there, fear of missing out, that FOMO factor. So I have to be aware of how strong my FOMO is and realize that I have to factor that in to my entire decision-making strategy because sometimes I'll have the fear of missing out and then I do it and I'm like, oh man, that really wasn't what I wanted to do. But my fear of missing out sort of overdid everything else. It outweighed everything else. And eventually I start realizing, wait, this isn't an illusion. This isn't real. This fear of missing out is false. I'm not going to miss out. In fact, I might miss out on something else by choosing this thing. So you become more aware over time. But then the one other thing I want to go over is the law of efficiency. So the way our universe works, if we choose to, is every single thing that we do, even the things that are allegedly not good for us, can eventually serve our greater thing. They get woven into our story. And our universe, it works on efficiency. So it's actually designed to help get you to your goal as quickly as possible. Now, when you make yes or no decisions to things, there is a path that was probably the faster path to get you where you want to go. There probably is a path that's the fastest. That being said, if you choose the wrong path, you're not forever doomed or cursed. The universe will just update the system and update the map or the navigation to get you there. And that might mean you have to reroute and go back along the path that you formerly skipped, or it might mean that the universe comes up with a new way to do it. And the way of doing this is, regardless of what you choose, to celebrate this as a way of moving you closer to where you want to go. And to maybe even just be curious of how this is going to help inform you. Now, I've had some trainings that I don't actually use very much of that were related to energy healing and things like that. I don't use in everyday life. And I certainly didn't have to go to the training to learn it. I could have learned it in a book. But I did get the clarifications I wanted. I got to meet some new friends. There's all these positives, even if maybe the training wasn't everything I wanted. So you can usually find good stuff, even if it wasn't quite right for you. And what I will say is, typically, when something's really not right for you, you'll get stronger indications. So it's useful too to put everything in perspective. I will typically get very strong indications when something's not right for me. I'll get kind of good indications when something is right for me. I'll just see that everything seems aligned. And I mean, honestly, sometimes I even doubt that. I am a former and kind of current skeptic, even though I'm in this world and believe, so much. But it can be useful to just put everything in perspective, that nothing tends to be life-altering forever, or we can say everything's life-altering, but also life then re-alters for you. So again, typical decision-making can be helpful.